Number 20 says state the amplitude, period, frequency, phase shift, and vertical shift of the function y equals 2 sine of x plus pi over 2 minus 3. Then graph 2 periods of the function. All right, so let's start with, it wants the amplitude. Let's put that right here. The amplitude is going to be equal to the absolute value of this number out front there, the A. That's going to be 2. So the amplitude is 2. The period, the normal period for a sine function is 2 pi. We're going to divide that by the b, the number in front of the x, which is just going to be 1. So 2 pi divided by 1 is 2 pi. The frequency, so the frequency is just the reciprocal of the period. So the frequency is going to be 1 over 2 pi. Then we have the phase shift. And the phase shift is this number here, actually the opposite of that number. So this is pi over 2, so it'll be negative pi over 2, divided by the absolute value of b, which again is 1. So we have negative pi over 2 divided by 1, which is negative pi over 2. That's our phase shift. And then the vertical shift is going to be equal to negative 3. All right, so now we can graph this function. Let's start with the vertical shift. Normally, sine is it's a wave, and it has a midline right at the x-axis, so right at y equals 0. This vertical shift is going to shift that midline down to y equals negative 3. So we're going to have a midline right there. And then sine starts at the midline, and it's going to start wherever our phase shift is. So our phase shift is at negative pi over 2, so that's right here. So we'll start on the midline at x equals negative pi over 2. That's going to be our starting point. And then to plot our next point, we're going to go forward 1 period, which is 2 pi, because any sine or cosine function, actually any trig function, is going to be back where it started after 1 period. So we'll be back on this midline after 1 period, which will be out here. Just add 2 pi. And then sine also crosses the midline halfway. So 1/2 period, so pi from here is going to be right there. So those are the first 3 points that we're going to plot. And then halfway between these 2 points, it's going to reach its maximum, which is the amplitude plus the vertical shift. So the maximum is going to be at negative 1. And it'll reach its maximum right there, halfway between those 2 points. And then halfway between these 2 points, it's going to reach its minimum of negative 5. That's the vertical shift minus the amplitude. So at pi here, we're going to be at negative 5. And then this, we need to do this for 2 periods. So let's go out here at 2 pi, it'll be back up here to its maximum. And then going back this way, at pi, it'll be down to, or negative pi, it'll be down to its minimum. Then it'll be back up to the midline here, and then at negative 2 pi, back up to its maximum. And now we can draw this sine curve. It's going to look just like that. So that's 2 periods of this function, and those are the 5 properties of this that the question asks for.